So I just have all the pages open here.
I guess I can just read these if you want.
Yeah, I mean this page sort of it's like what is the purpose of League? Break the
Hmm.
Nexus. This is like the second point is like how you get better at champions.
Yep.
What I don't know what this 개인 화면 관전
So
내지컬.
you spectate. I guess point of view is like you actually see what they're clicking and stuff instead of just going looking at replays and stuff.
Oh, so pro view basically, or like stream.
Preview, yeah, basically. Yeah, so to improve your logical is like brain stuff. Physical mechanics is like just they call those physical in Korean.
Hmm.
Logical is like knowing macro and like ins and outs and stuff.
Okay, what is 기본? So like gameplay 기본.
Oh, that's just basic.
Okay, okay. So just
Yeah.
better player.
Yeah.
Um, what is this third point here?
So third point is the ideal way of getting better. That's the title. The most important one in parentheses is to be consistent.
가장
The
중요. Okay.
Yeah, and the second line is spectating, using it in your solo queue games, giving yourself feedback. 유기적으로, it's like what's the word in Korean? Uh, so like
So the line is 관전 plus. Wait, what is 관전?
when spectating.
Okay, so spectate plus
Uh,
ranked,
applying it in your solo ranked.
and self feedback is.
Yeah,
I guess that's like holistic. Is 유기적으로 like holistic?
holistic pretty much. Yeah, how they work together and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. 정답은 없음. 항상 왜. What does that say? 라는.
So so there's now no correct answers. Always ask yourself why, and then make up your own answers, and then apply it in your solo queue games and give yourself feedback.
Okay, is that the. That's the last line, right?
Yeah, that's the last line. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. This is about lane phase.
playing
Um,
the beginning stages.
yeah. What is this Samsung? 구도
상
Samsung.
구도 상성 is like the matchup. So like
Okay, okay.
yeah,
I was like Samsung. What am I reading?
I understand Samsung.
Yeah. So it's like hitting your spells. 대략적인 games. Sorry, what does that mean?
Spells, it's like instead of hitting your spell, it's more. I think it's more a summoner spell. So like know what spells to take
Okay.
and know how you should plan out the game. So like if you're games, I guess. So yeah, so how you should plan out the game. I think
Okay, and that's like the third and fourth. What kudo?
that's the first one. The second line is the matchup basically.
Mm-hmm.
The third line is how the game is going. So like in a 5v5, you should always know
Who?
how the game is going.
Okay, like you should be able to like tell who wins like a
Follow the
straight up.
game. Yeah.
Okay, okay. The game 흐름.
So, yeah. So how the number one is the early how the game flows. Number two is the concept of the game. It says how you should decide objectives and like what do you call it? Standoffs. I'm not sure what's the
대치
word
game.
they
Oh,
use.
that's like the neutral game where like neither team has an advantage. Is that what it is?
Oh no, it's like when you have the five enemy team and five on your team. You guys are like trying to fight, but like you're not actually fighting.
Oh, like
Like
Bear and Drake just like staring at each other.
yeah, just staring at each other pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's the end of that one. The second biggest one, it's also matchups. Number one is mid 1v1. Number two, mid jungle 2v2. Number three is mid jungle support 3v3.
Yeah.
Let's see. Number one, mid 1v1. You should always know when you have the advantage, how much damage you can do at what time, what level, what time.
Mm-hmm.
The second line is you should have the lane push priority. Line push priority. You should always the warning, the parenthesis says you should calculate the scuttlecraft times separately.
Okay.
Number three, for example, if you push the first line, the enemy laner may be pushing towards you before the scuttlecraft spawns.
The bounce back. Yeah.
Yeah. The fourth line is mobility. Mobility. So like backing up your teammates. dodging ganks, follow-ups, roams,
Wait, that the dodging gank
whippy.
happy happy means dodging.
Yeah, dodging
Okay.
ganks, follow-ups, roams. The next line says spells, summoner spells, runes, and try to predict what the first item the enemy's going, I guess.
Okay. Makes
Yep.
sense.
And the second one, mid jungle 2v2, the scuttle fight. You should try to predict what jungle camp, what pathing, the jungle pathing they're taking.
Yeah.
Second line is vision, priority.
Shia is vision.
Yeah, shares vision. Yeah.
Okay.
3v3, vision fight after the first back. The next line is herald and objective fights.
Okay. And then line push.
Yeah, pushing the lane. Number one. Uh,
Wait, 일반 means generally, right? Okay.
Generally, lane push, lane priority leads to the first 성공권 means you can attack first. So like, what's the term? A simple term.
You can just move to
Yeah, you can like
yeah.
look for fights first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The second line says exception. When there's a high gank pressure, and then after the first back, if you don't have vision, so you shouldn't really try to push so hard if there's like a enemy has a really strong ganking jungler or you don't have any visions after their first back.
Oh, so he's talking about like if you push someone in, they have to focus on pushing the wave back out or catching CS while you can just poke them basically.
Oh, wait, which one? No, wait, which one are you talking about?
Oh, like the stuff with like being able to attack first, like in the lane.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And the exception he says is that when like enemy has a strong ganking champion or if you don't have any vision, it's kind of hard to push.
Yeah.
Number two, auto attacks, minion, skills, champion. So
When you what is Makta last hitting?
last hitting, yeah. So
Okay.
like you should use skills during last hitting times. So
Mm-hmm.
when the enemy's about to last hit, you use skills. And when you're trading, it's a time to auto attack.
딜고 상황에선 평타 타임.
Yeah, that's when it says when you're trading, it's the auto attack timing. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean exactly. I guess the next line may tell.
Mm.
So if you're fighting a melee champion, on the first line,
Oh, he's saying auto the melees twice, range once, or
oh, is that what that means?
that's what I think because when I study VODs, that's what people do. Like it's almost the
Oh, okay.
yeah they'll auto two creeps, they'll auto a melee twice, hit a range once, and then it gives them the timing to hit the melee champion while also giving them time to last hit because you don't want to be having to do both at the same time, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess after the 2-1-0, 3-1-0 as an auto attack, you should only auto as two last hit after that, he says.
Mm-hmm.
And you should 먹고 after getting the last hit, you should go to your melee minions and try to 견제, so like poke or like prevent the enemy from getting last hits, like poke trade type of stuff.
Okay.
So I guess the picture, the drawing says,
여기서 근접 미니언.
so get next to the melee minion, and then auto attack the enemy and go back.
Oh, okay. So walk up, hit, walk out. Okay.
And then that'll lead to the minion aggro being focused to one specific minion, and then
막 달고. And then
I
you
mean,
can
you
auto a
last
second time.
yeah, so yeah, you can auto the minion and then trade again, I guess. I think that's what he's trying to say. Yeah.
So if you walk up and auto someone, the creeps will aggro you.
And then you back off right away, so the creeps aggro one specific minion. Right?
Oh, okay. So they de-aggro and then they focus onto one creep in your
One.
wave.
Yeah, and then you last hit that minion, and then go back up, and then auto the enemy, and then back off again. I think that's what that's trying to say.
Okay. I think that's something that would definitely be easier to. Well, I sort of get what it's saying, but yeah.
Number three, trading and spacing. The basics, you have
God.
to dodge and hit. You have to hit them at a position where you won't get hit. Try to use stop moving. I guess that's pressing S. So like,
Yeah, the S key.
yeah. The first bracket
Let's
is
go.
when you don't have priority.
Wait, priority is 주도권?
Yeah, 주도권 없을 때 is when you don't have priority. The top part of the bracket is I guess my last hitting.
Yeah.
Right before
First item, Hantem?
Han tempo, so like right before last hitting, so like one tempo before last hitting, you should look to move up to trade. So you can either just bait their skills out or trade.
Oh, oh,
So
I see.
that's during your last hits. So
Well,
you should only trade before like you have to. Oh, I get okay. So your last hits, you should only look to trade right before you have to actually do the last hitting. So like you shouldn't. Hold on.
I mean, I think
Mm,
so my understanding of this
mm,
is, obviously people will try to hit you when you're like, forced last hit, right?
uh-huh.
But if you try to bait out a skill before your last hit,
Hmm.
then when you actually have to go last hit, they won't have the cooldowns to punish that.
Right. Oh, right. So
Yeah.
like you should try to bait them out a tempo before the minion gets to the last hitting range. Is what
Mm-hmm.
that's saying. Okay. The second part of the bracket, last enemy last hitting. It says try to get as much either is like advantage as possible. So I
Oh, that's
guess
like
try to
that's like how people say K-Dug, worth.
yeah, okay, the worth, yeah. Try to
Okay.
get as much worth as possible. But then in parentheses he says when you're only do it when you're sure. So I guess when you're sure that the enemy's jungler is like on the other side of the map or you can see the enemy support and stuff
Mm-hmm.
is when you should do that. That's the when you don't have lane priority. The bottom part is when you do have lane priority. The top part is enemy last hitting. You should try to trade during their last hit,
Mm-hmm.
but the parentheses said you should watch out for enemy trading back.
Right.
The bottom part is like is normally um try to last hit 2 tempo before last hit. And parentheses
Okay.
says skill cooldowns. 2 tempo before last. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean 2 tempo before your last hits or the enemy's last hits. But
Um. Well, I assume because this is the one for when you have prio, it's assuming that you have the advantage. So maybe it's like
so like when the enemy's 2 tempo before the enemy's last hits, you try to bait their skills out. Is what that's saying? Maybe.
maybe it's because it's two instead of one. Maybe it's like, okay, you trade with them, and now it's their turn, right?
Yeah.
And then when it's your turn again,
Oh, okay. So I guess what it's saying is you try to trade 2 tempo before the enemy last hit. So like you guys trade cooldowns, and but then the enemy still has to catch the last hit because it's 2 tempo before when they have the last hit. So it'll be their time to catch the minion. So you should have your skills back up then. So the enemy either has to use their skills to last hit or they trade back with you. Maybe that's what it's trying to say.
maybe
I'm not really sure though.
maybe neither of us understand
Yeah.
laning well enough. It's fine. Uh, jungle 강회
Try to be aware when you're trying to watch out for enemy ganks. Try to be aware of the enemy's like spacing for follow up and how the length of the enemy jungler skill. So like where the enemy laner is located and how long the jungle skill shot is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have advanced I guess priority in lane, you're a winning lane, and your jungler has not shown in the map yet, and you could try to act like you're the gank. You have a gank.
Oh, and that's 욕심부리. So that's greeting basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. The
Wait.
bottom part. No, no, that's the butt line. The butt line.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, so you like if your jungler hasn't shown in, you can try to like act like you have a gank. The that part is trading. End it when you have an advantage. Don't try to greed too much. So like when you guys trade and you have the HP advantage, don't try to go for the extra like
Auto,
yeah
or like risk tanking tower shot or something like
yeah.
that.
Don't greed too much. But if you've got an advantage, just end it there. That's
Yeah,
what that's.
makes sense.
Number four, wording. Number one, the first word. When you're pushing, it goes to the top part. When you're hard pushing, try to word enemy raptors.
Wait, 하드
Um,
푸시 칼날부리. That's Raptors, right?
yeah, yeah, enemy raptors. So like if you're pushing hard, ward enemy raptors. But if you're pushing slowly, try to ward depending on enemy's ganking path. So I guess like if you're mid lane, it's like the try area where like the herald thingy and the river connects. That
Yeah,
type of stuff. Yeah. Number two, first back. The bottom. Try to pink ward the bottom straight brush. So I guess the river brush. Pink ward that.
레드 벽 push. Oh, okay, okay,
Oh,
okay. The
and then
yeah,
if you are on the top side of the summoners, if your team's on the top side, ward the red. There's a bush near red, I guess.
yeah, on
Oh,
the.
I see. Yeah, yeah, the next to dragon pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try to ward that one. But if you're in the bottom side, try to ward the. He says a dot bush. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean.
That's
Dot
probably
bush.
just the one in the river.
Oh, maybe, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. So like, if you're on top side, ward the red. If you're on bottom side, ward the small one, river. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. I guess we'll go to the next one. Moving.
Okay, moving.
Oh, this is more like macro instead of. I thought he was talking about
What?
like actual like moving around in lane, but.
Oh, yeah, I thought he meant juking too. Number one. How to dodge a gank using positioning depending on timing. So the top part, 아래진영 기준 means like if you're on the bottom side of the map. Uh, so if you have a advantageous matchup, if you have a winning matchup, and when you have to be aware of like level 2 ganks, so like if enemy has Xin Zhao, Jarvan, Shaco, Nunu, Volibear, etc. The asterisk says if you can know which buff they're starting, it's better. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, when you do know which buff they started, after when the first wave arrives, try to push the lane where your jungler started. I guess so if your jungler started red, you try to push from red.
You mean like
Like
standing close to him, basically?
yeah, closely, yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you push, try to move to the other side. So like you start there, but then you slowly move to the other side.
Right. So like if both junglers start red, for
Oh,
example,
you
um,
try to stay in the enemy red side and then slowly move to the your red side is
yeah,
what
it's
that's
like
saying.
you look at your own jungler, you can be like, okay, the enemy jungler is also probably crossing at the same time, so you swap the side of the lane you're standing on.
Yeah, I guess yeah, yeah.
Yeah. 시작을
Number
모를 때.
number two is when you don't know where they started. Try to ward the straight brush around 140 to 145, and then think about dribble is like
드리블. What is
uh, baiting the enemy jungler to come into like 1v2. You still get alive. Unless
드리블? Wait, dribble doesn't mean like dribbling, right? What is that short for something?
the dribble, it's basically means how they like dribble in soccer, right? You have the ball and you like dribble past the defenders. Basically the same thing where you try to survive a 2v1 cake.
So this guy's just saying just outplay it, bro. Okay.
Yeah, basically that's just try to outplay. Yeah.
Okay.
The first dot,
Oh, level 3 gankers.
yeah, level 3 gankers.
Kiana?
Yeah, Rek'Sai, Kiana, Echo, Elise.
Oh, I thought it said Alistar. I was like, what?
Alistar
Alistar
Jungle.
Jungle. Okay.
Number one, when you can ward the enemy raptors. The top part, it says around 2 minutes. If the enemy jungler shows at the raptors, you can lane accordingly. You can do a laning phase accordingly. But the bottom part, it says if they don't show in the raptors, think of two things. The top part is that they could go red, blue, gromp, or the bottom part being they could go blue into
Three
the
camps.
three camps. Yeah, so like
Okay.
bot side clear.
Slow push.
What number two? If you're slow pushing, if you know where the enemy jungler started, the top side is when you do know. At 220,
일자 push.
ward next to the straight brush.
일자 push.
So try to use the vision area to see the end of the wall. I guess that's like a specific warding spot near the.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you look at this,
Oh, okay, okay. That's the yeah. So
so
you
it's
can
like you
see.
get more vision of the river and like
Yeah.
the raptor entrance. Yeah, yeah.
When you don't know, do the same thing, but then follow your jungler's pathing. So like do ward the same way, but then so yeah, just follow your jungler's path.
Yeah.
Oh, number two, scuttle crabs and backing up. Scuttle crabs and backing up. Number one, when you do a prio, at 3 minutes, think about backing up your jungler for scuttles. Try to move closer to your enemy's jungle path. So like when your jungler's pathing.
Yeah.
Number two, if you have a losing matchup, but then and then the 2v2 matchup is also hard to do. Before 2:30, use a lot of your pots. So I guess yeah. So before 2:30, trade heavily. Use your pots.
And the TP
Go
back.
go back and TP back,
Okay.
and then move towards where your jungler's pathing. Uh,
Oh, that's smart. I didn't think of that.
ward at the straight brush, and then continue laning. So I guess trade hard early, just TP back. That's what Faker always does during T1 games, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then basically you're just sacrificing your TP.
TP for your jungler, yeah.
Yeah.
Number three, fights inside lanes. If the top bottom big wave plus jungle 교전's like scraps, jungle fighting, I guess. Comps. Try to think oh, okay. Wait, what?
미리
So
백업 템.
I see. So if the top or bottom has a big wave, but then your jungler is fighting somewhere, just TP there beforehand and
어느
think
정도.
about roaming, and then you can like try to give up the CS. What that says.
Oh, okay. So I think it's like let's say you look bot lane and then there's like a
It's a
stacked
huge
wave.
wave,
Yeah,
yeah.
crashing into them. You're like, okay, they could probably be dove here. So just like keeping an eye out, basically.
Yeah, they pick him an eye out, and then when you're also think about if your jungler is about to fight the enemy team, just TP there and roam there
Yeah.
instead of catching the wave.
And then
Yeah,
어느 정도 라인 손에 you're gonna have to give up something, basically.
yeah.
Okay. What is
What is
this?
this?
Roaming.
Roaming and back timings connection. Oh,
그리고
so like when you should roam and when you should back.
yeah.
Number
Roam.
one is roaming. The one circle says you push and roam. Number two is side lane fight and backing up. Number three is getting vision in the enemy jungle.
Okay.
The asterisk says the things you should think about when you're roaming. The basics is that how many turns you have used. That's the very basic thing you should think about.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Roaming.
so the first thought is look at the laning condition of the lane that you're trying to roam. 직관적으로 보기. What was that in English?
Is it like, are they even gankable?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just try to think of it's gankable and stuff. The second dot is try to combine sync your pathing to your enemy jungle. So like move where your jungle is moving. It's pretty much.
Yeah, I've noticed that like in like low elo games, like when you're smurfing, sometimes
Uh-huh.
your jungler's ganking bot lane and you can like roam top and it'll work out.
Uh-huh.
But if you're versus good players, very funny things start to happen if you try to do stuff without your jungler. So, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
that's the thing, and the dot before that is that check whether the enemy mid has TP. Also keep in mind your back timing, how much money you have, and the objective timers.
okay.
That's the roaming. Number two, back timing. You should try to back before cannon minions.
Hmm.
Number two,
Oh,
oh,
before the
there's
side
a,
lane gets dove.
yeah. It, so one tempo before the side lane's about to get dove. So like you should just back right away if you think bot lane's low and that they're getting dove. Just back and try to TP.
Yeah.
Number three, a minute before important objectives. Asterisks, try to not show on the map when you back.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, roaming and backing. Parentheses, 상상 속의 roaming, so it's like imaginative, like roaming, imaginative roaming. So like when you have vision control, you push, you make it look like you're roaming, but just go back.
Oh,
It's
yeah, you just like stand in fog to make and they don't know like what you're doing.
Yeah, but then this one says it's back timing. So like you make it look like you're roaming, you go up a little bit, but then instead of standing, just go back. It says.
Oh, I think it's also like when you clear wards, like division
Uh-huh.
doesn't instantly clear, right?
Right.
So most good players like they'll clear ward and they'll start walking one way, and then like after like a second they'll like switch directions, right, just to like trick you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
like that one.
moving. Yeah.
Moving. Yeah.
Okay, vision.
Number one, vision control. After your first back, choose a side and then try to grab control vision control in that area. So like choose one side and grab control. Number one, the first should always be pink warding the lane brush. Right when you get back to lane, pink ward that right away.
Wait, when he says does he mean like the bushes on the side?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
me. Like yeah, those the straight bushes.
Okay.
Put a pink on there right away. So, and then if you're on the top side of the map, you ward the bush next to the red. And then if you're on the bottom side of the map, you ward the little dot in the river.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, jungle support, grabbing river vision, grabbing enemy vision. Before 5 minutes, you should try to grab dragon and river vision. And after 5 minutes, the top part says
Wait, this
in
is 5 minutes in the game, like the game
yeah,
timer 5 minutes. Okay. Okay.
yeah, in the game timer, yeah. After 5 minutes, if it's even, you should try to get vision of Herald. The bottom
Okay.
part, if you're behind, it divides. If your bot is winning, you should try to grab vision for the bot side jungle. The
Okay.
bottom side, if your bot's also losing, try to ward when you have a lot of people like grabbed, a lot of people together. So like if you try to grab vision as a group
Yeah.
and look for picks, what that says.
Wait. 최대한 인원수. What is 인원수?
Inonsu means just like Inon is like population, so the head numbers. So like
Oh, head count. Yeah.
you head count. So if you have more teammates, try to grab vision and try to look for picks.
Okay.
Number two, try to 영향력 is like what's a word in English?
시야를 이용한 사이드 영향력 퍼뜨리기.
So it's like influencing the map. Okay, yeah. Using
Vision.
influencing the sides using vision. It can lead to roams.
Oh,
Number one,
연결 가능. Okay. Okay.
yeah. Number one, when you have control of one side of the map, when you have vision control of one side. Oh wait, number one it says doing alone. Okay, number one, things you could do alone. When you have one vision control one side of the map, and then it looks like you can't really roam anywhere, and you want to back and your lane is a bad position and in a bad matchup, and the little parentheses and the arrow says these four conditions combine into the bottom arrow, and number one says moving closer to the area with vision control. The top part says you could try to wait in the straight brush, the lane brush, as you said. So
Mm-hmm.
like when you have vision control, you could just instead of roaming, you could just stand in the bush.
Yeah.
That's the top part. On the bottom part says you could try to
Check
track
enemy
enemy
jungle.
junglers or use the vision plant to find where they are.
Basically,
Uh,
just even if you can't roam and you can't do anything in your own lane, just not wasting time. Basically.
yeah, basically it's like if you have one vision control, but then you can't really roam, but you also want to bag, and your lane's a bad state type of stuff. You don't really have to roam. You can like try to go in the bush or track the enemy junglers. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is when you don't have vision control. Um, if you know where the enemy jungler is, move towards the red bush. The bottom part says when you don't know where the enemy jungler is, check the river brush or just try to hide where you are.
Okay.
So like just don't show on the map, it says.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay, number two. So number one is like stuff you could do alone. Number two is with your jungler.
Mm-hmm.
So number one says try to push your lane in sync with the your jungler's pathing. So like for example, when your when your jungler is taking raptors or wolves, try to push heavily, and then try to like pressure the enemy while pushing, and then depending on the lane state, try to call your jungler. That's one thing you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing you could do is after pushing your lane, you can try to invade the enemy jungle or try to hide from vision.
Yeah, because that does make sense. If your jungler is doing raptors or wolves and his buffs aren't up, then he's probably going to either base or cross the river, and you want to be prepared for both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So number two is enemy jungler has shown on the map. It basically says try to act like you're backing up your jungler. So I guess if they show top lane, your jungler is also showing top lane. Just make it look like you're going top lane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and the bottom part says afterwards you can just he can explain after watching replays. I guess just watch replays. Yeah.
Okay. 운영. What is 운영?
운영
Does that mean
macro.
luck?
It means
Oh,
macro.
macro. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Number one objectives: 5 to 7 minutes dragon, 7 to 9 minutes herald. Asterisk. When doing objective fights, things to think about, things to watch out for. The first one you should look out for is your lane state. The second one is head count. The third one is vision in the bush.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth one is your jungler's summoner spells, whether your teammates have ultis or not.
Wait, what is the difference between line 상황 and line 상태? Or is it the same thing?
상황 is like, but pretty much the same thing, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um,
저녁 먹 전.
so when your team has gotten the herald or enemy team has gotten the herald, try to. It's gonna lead to like fights, and then it leads into tower. They always think about that. It says.
Yeah.
For dragon, try to always grab vision before at least 1 minute and try looking for fights. For Baron, try to think about when your team can, or when your team or enemy team can grab Baron. So like look at their comp, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, 미드 대치. So it's like the standoff in mid lane after laning phase.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is when you can't do side lane. So I guess you're like on an immobile mage or something like that. Or like enemy has like a really strong side lane champion.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can't do sides, number one, try to break the mid tower open. Try
밀면서.
to push the lane in a L position and press. It says push the lane and pressure in an L position. I don't know what L position is supposed to mean.
Uh,
I guess 3 in the middle and 2 on the side to make it look like an L. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess that way you can cover like if the enemy team has like an engager side lane
Oh,
to
I
just
see.
cover like the side that they're
Oh,
coming
okay, okay.
from.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, grabbing enemy vision and getting last hits, CS thing on the side lanes. Number 2, the other 1 minute before objectives, try to grab jungle vision. The top bracket says when you can grab jungle vision, try to look for picks in the bush. Get ready for objectives. The bottom part says when you can't get jungle visions, try to pick off enemy laners who try to push mid alone. So like, oh yeah, so like those guys who just move out
Oh
mid
my
lane alone,
god.
yeah, just kill
I
those.
lost. I lost like 3 games yesterday because of that. But people just like, oh, well, let's push and base, and they're just basing in the middle of the lane. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Whatever. Yeah.
Number 3, side lanes. The basic side lanes. It should be grabbing side lane outers, the first outers, grabbing mid, grabbing the bot lane, the second tiers, grabbing the bot lane. Like, okay, so I guess this is supposed to be like in order. So like, grab the first one on the sides first, and then grab mid lane, and then grab bot lane second tier first,
And
and
then
try to
top and
grab
mid at the same
top and
time.
mid together. Yeah, I don't know why, but I guess this is how the macro is supposed to.
I mean, I think it's just because early game at least the 1-3-1 is easier because yeah, I think the early game the 1-3-1 is easier because it's harder for like the entire enemy team to collapse.
Mhm.
But if you're but once you take the outers, then you sort of have to do a 4-1 if like because you're like mid lane, right? You can't be doing a 1-3-1 when you're trying to hit tier 2s just because it's so much easier for the enemy team to engage on the people who are
Right.
hitting the
Yeah.
tier 2s, I think. Yeah.
Number 1, 131. The one underneath that says it has to be in a winning game, so like advantage game state.
Mhm.
Number 2, when you have teleport advantage. Number 3 is that when you have a good side laning comp, so you have like a side laning top champion, you have a mid with like really good mobility, has a really strong jungler, is when you should look to 131.
Mhm.
2, 4, 1 is when you number 1 says when you're preparing for objectives. Number 2 is that when enemies mid jungle comp is really strong, so I guess like Ari Vi or whatever.
Yeah.
Number 3, tower state when you have pushed. So like when you have pushed the second tier turrets of one lane, you could try to look for 4-1s.
Mhm.
Number 3 is 3 and 2.
3-2. 탑에 밀고 미드가.
So like top lane pushes and you hide behind the top lane.
Oh, just shadowing. Okay.
Yeah, shadowing, yeah. So like when you should do this, number 1 is that try to kill the enemy top right before objectives.
Right, right. Mid.
속도 차이. So like mid tower 속도 차이. So like mid tower, how fast you can push the mid
Just
tower?
difference in
Hmm. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean.
yeah, maybe if you're not there, maybe if you try to do a 4-1 and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that's
Ooh, that
supposed to
was
mean. I don't know what that's supposed to
yeah.
say.
싸우는 법. Oh, how to fight. Okay.
Yeah, how to fight. I guess this is the most important
What
one.
does that say? 소규모 교전.
Well, small like scrapping.
Okay,
So he
okay.
says, 직관적, it's like it's like intuitive. You should know how to fight those on your own. He says.
Okay. Yeah.
So
자신의 역할 알기.
so know your role in the fight. Number 1, try to check who's fed on the enemy team. Or is that or example?
Yeah. 피리딜 할. Oh, free
So
deal, free deal.
for example, try to be aware of who's dangerous when they have the time to like do damage if left
Yeah.
alone, and be aware if you have the damage to kill them. Number 2, try to check who's fed on your team. Number 3, try to check the skill shots that you have to dodge. So I guess like Sejuani R's and stuff.
Yeah.
The first thought below that it says Be aware if you should 묶어도 so like hold the enemy backline. So like you should either try to hold the enemy backline or kill the front line. It was the second line. The third line says killing the enemy backline. The last one says what and whether you have to live, like you can't
Yeah.
die. The last part.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think the first one is like you can't really kill them, and like if you fight them straight up, you lose. But you just want to like
just be annoying, I
yeah, you want to
guess.
distract them so they can't actually like hit the
Yeah.
rest of it. Yeah.
And the arrow says try to balance the gains and the losses. It should be intuitive. And the little hyphen says if that's hard to do, look at the bounty.
Oh, bounties. Hensing.
현상금.
Oh, 현상. Okay.
Yep, 현상금. Number two, positioning. Number one, look at the enemy's engage skills. Look at the enemy's engage skills. Top bracket. If the enemy's engage skill is a good skill to hold one champion, so I guess it's like a targeted CC or something like that. Try to move with your ADC is what that says.
Oh,
And
yeah, because like if a Vi clicks R on your AD, like they're going to hit no matter what. So you just want to be there to make sure they don't die.
right.
Yeah.
hmm the bottom bracket says if it's an engage skill that CCs a lot of, it's like an AOE, AOE one. You can either look to move separately or look to uh, kill their backline, is what that says.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. So like, I think for the second one, right? Like, let's say the enemy team has a Malphite. Like the moment Malphite ults in, like his carries are
Try to
gonna
kill
look.
their backline. Yeah.
Yeah, his carries are gonna be like just focusing on whoever Malphite ulted, and then in that moment you can like, yeah, you can just like jump them.
Yeah, try to kill the backline. Yep. Number two, if you're if you're if your backline
Wait, Agun.
아군 뒷라인 물기 센서. Okay, so if the enemy team has a champion that can kill your backline easily, so like for example, if the enemy has a Kennen, Irelia, Riven,
Okay.
the top side is that when you can take them on, and when you're winning, you have like when you have prio over them, try to go to the side lanes and 1v1 them.
Right, to keep
And
them from the team fight. Yeah.
Mhm. And but then when you have to avoid them, 최대한 먼저 잡거나 피하기. So try to kill them first, or just avoid them completely.
Yeah.
Number three, if enemy backline is too strong, I've tried to avoid like controlled fights, like controlled 5v5s and stuff. Don't do those. Try to
What is Nanjan
uh,
Yudo?
anja, it's like scrapping. So like try
Oh,
to bait scraps like 2v2s and 3v3s in a random spot.
대치
Uh,
상황에서
so in like a standoff, try to use your champions like 특성 is like not specs like champions 특성
kind of,
뭐라고 하지?
is that like poke?
Something like that. So like if you have a pokey champion, try to use pokes to if you like try to use your champion's unique identity to kagamok to like poke them out or like yeah, pretty much poke them out or like
Or like just like threaten them? Just try to get
threaten
them.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so just don't do like 5v5s.
Mm-hmm.
Asterisk when the fight starts. Number one, if it's not a thing where like you have to kill an enemy person, you always try to fight uh, in a position where you won't die. So like
Oh,
unless you have to kill the enemy guy, try to not to die when you
yeah.
fight. At the
견
bottom,
견적을 보면서 싸움. What is 견적?
겨- so Gyunjok's like quote, like getting like an automobile like insurance quote type of thing. So like you should in your head, you should like calculate where you could die, when you won't die. And you just keep that in mind as you fight, basically.
Okay. 내
The
역할.
bottom, so that know what your role is in the fight.
Okay.
Number three is saving your skills. So in a scrap in the fight, don't keep try to hold the enemy off by not using your important skills like Mumu ulti or Malphite ulti. Instead of using it right away, try to hold it so that enemies like aware and they can't really like move
Well,
in because of that.
yeah, yeah.
The second dot is spell summoner spell mind games. The third dot is that if you use it too like easily, you could get they can like try to catch you and stuff. So like
Wait,
섣불리 썼다가 내가
s-
물리는 상황 방. So like hmm,
what is
I-
what is Humbly?
섣 섣불리 means like using it preemptively type of thing. So
Oh,
like
so like
using it too early type of that.
so maybe like Ezreal or something. Like
So spells, I think summoners like flash or like those type of things.
oh, okay, cleanse
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
cleanse. Yeah, to just do mind games with that. So if you like use too early, if you use it early, you can like yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth, vision. When you're fighting, try to go inside a bush to wait for your skill cooldowns. Dribble them. So I guess just keep them, make them follow you.
Yeah, true, yeah. Yung
Number two, during fights, try to fight in those areas where they don't have vision. You know, like in the dragon or baron pit, there's like pockets where the vision's like hidden and stuff
yeah.
like that. So you look for those spots. Number three, it says CC is best. It's good to use CC. 안
When
보이겠어. So
from
it's
fog
make
maybe?
it make it hard to see. Yeah. So like number one is that from number one says from fog when the enemy can't see you. Number two, it says 싸움 도중 안 보여줄 땐 스킬 아끼는 게. So like if they 안 보여줄 땐 스킬. If you're fighting and then you can't see the CC, it's better to save your skill cooldowns. I'm not sure what it's supposed to mean.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to
Yeah.
mean. Number four, try to ward in the bushes before the fights to prevent 1 and 3 from happening. Oh, okay.
Oh, where like they walk into fog and then where they walk
You
into
can't.
the bush and then maybe they're
Uh,
like channeling a skill like in front of you.
yeah, yeah. To prevent those, try to ward early is what that says.
Yeah, wow, we actually went through all of it. I feel like I feel like most of this is like for people who have been like high level. I feel like it's kind of intuitive. I would say the like it's like intuitive, but it definitely helps having it like written out like ahead of time because like you know when you go into a team fight, like you sort of know what you want to be doing. But it's like, well, if you have this checklist ahead of time, then it's like it keeps you from autopiloting basically.
Right, right, yeah.
And I think yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I watch a lot of VODs, right? And even just from like my own VOD analysis and stuff, like the stuff about like autoing creeps a certain number of times, like it's nice that it matches up with like what I think
What it,
is correct.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was supposed to be. Like 210, 310. What the fuck is that supposed to
Yeah. I mean, it's like it happens mostly in like range versus melee matchups because in range versus range, like both laners are just autoing, right?
be? Auto, yeah.
Yeah, I think the trickiest is actually melee versus melee because in melee versus range at least, or range versus melee, it's kind of obvious what both champions need to be doing. But if you're playing like Silas into a Kali, for example, then it's like a little trickier because like you're sort of fighting, but it's also harder to like crash waves and like
Right, yeah.
break freezes, that sort of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think melee is the hardest.
Melee is also kind of fun though, TBH. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely the one where there's like the most fighting just by the nature of the champions. Except when it's like Yasuo, I think, because I think Yasuo kind of beats every melee. But
Yasuo and Yone. I hate those two.
yeah, they just miss everything and they just
Still kill you. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think the issue is not the champions. I think it's just lethal tempo.
Oh, dude. Yeah, lethal tempo is stupid.
Yeah,